Alright, so welcome to part 11 of the pond build. It's been quite a while since I've done one of these updates, and things have progressed fairly well now on the pond. Today I've managed to install the window into the pond with help from my dad, so I haven't talked through each bit as I'm doing it. I've got the window in and I'm now going to talk through exactly what we've done. I filmed part of it of us sealing it up, getting the window in and tying it down, so I'll intersperse clips from us actually doing it so you get a good idea of where we're up to. And then this video will come out probably once I've got the liner in as well, so I haven't actually got that ordered yet, so it'll be a while till you actually see this, but we'll go through the window details, how to attach the liner to a window as well, probably how to attach it to the skimmer and bottom drain all in one big video, and yeah, and also how to insulate it. So if I spin you round, show you where we're up to. As you can see, or maybe not see, depending on how the light is, the glass is in. It is one nice big thick solid piece of 25.5mm thick glass now, heat treated from Tuffex glass. They have seemed excellent company to deal with, really impressed with them, super simple, really good communications, really good delivery, exactly on time for when they said. Yeah, really recommend them. The glass seems really good quality. My dog's a bit confused because he can no longer jump into the pond, as you can see, especially with me looking at it. He wants to jump in there. As you can see, we have two suction cups on there. They're lifting glass cups, and that is ratchet strapped to the bar just to hold it all in place. So if we come back to me, the way that we went around doing this was, first of all, we lifted the glass into the pond onto some pallets just to get it at the right height to make life easier for ourselves. As I say, using these suction cups. These suction cups are ones off Amazon. They're nothing fancy, but they really do the job. They make life a lot easier. This bit of glass was only about 60 odd kg, but without them it'd make life a lot harder, so I definitely recommend getting yourself a set of those. And then once we got it in place, we offered it up to the gap and we put a couple of packers underneath the window, just to help get it at the right height to make things a bit easier. So we put those packers in. You do get these little blue bits on the glass that come with it. You could use them, but we just had various size bits of plastic packing to get under there to start with to get things absolutely bang on. We then lifted the glass off and got out the sealant, and the sealant that we used for the job, it seems recommended by quite a lot of people. You can use it for the liner and everything like that onto the glass and to the bottom drain, and that is just this MS220 MS290, sorry, Master Seal, from Ideal Seal, sorry, I'm getting it all wrong now. I just brought a box of that direct from them. It's the cheapest price, I think, getting it straight direct from them. Again, came really easily, just ordered a box, so got plenty to do the window, the liner and the skimmer and the bottom drain all with the same stuff. So we sealed around the frame. You don't need to lose absolutely loads on the windows. I've seen a few of the companies, I think it's CWD Pond, that install windows and pond lining. They just do a couple of blobs all the way around the window, and that is enough to hold it in place. This stuff will seal real solid onto pretty much anything, and then you've also got the water weight behind it holding that into place. As you'd seen in previous videos, I'd cut out a rebate into the blocks, so the glass would sit nicely into that rebate anyway, and then with the sealant, so it all finishes nice and flush. So once we got the sealant along there all in different blobs, we then lifted the glass into place and held it in there and pushed it, leveled it all up to the spirit level, made sure everything was all perfect. It just sat really easily once we got those little shims in there anyway beforehand. Just made life easy that once the sealant was on, all we had to do was just lift it into place, and we knew it was going to be in the right location then. So yeah, and then after that I managed to clamber back out the pond. Remember to put a ladder in there, otherwise you're going to be stuck in the pond now the glass is there. And then we put in what you can see next to me down there, which is just a big metal bar, the two suction cups, and then you just ratchet strap them up. You don't have to really crank them tight, you just want to hold that window in place. You don't want to bend the window or warp it or anything like that. You just need to get them around there, ratchet it up tight, and that'll just hold it tight against the sealant until the sealant sets off. And then when the sealant's kicked, I mean, I'm going to leave them on there 24 hours, but I'm sure you wouldn't need to leave it that long. But as long as they stay on there, it's going to be sealed off and cured in place absolutely perfectly anyway. So yeah, I'll just show you close up at those cups where we are at. So we've got these double cups. You could use the single ones, but these double ones were came as a pair from Amazon relatively cheaply, and then just a set of normal ratchet straps to a metal bar off the framework. So as you can see, the window is sat into the rebate that we'd cut, and then alright, so now we're inside the pond. I'll just show you how we've got the mastic sealed up on the inside of the windows. I've just done it in several blobs. So if I spin you around, you can see the blobs here are completely compressed, so they're really firmly tightly pulled. And then I've just got some blobs all the way along, then a few along the bottom, all the way along, and you can see those packers that I've just put in there just to hold it all level at the right place. And then you can see I've come around the side, and then we've got those all the way up just in blobs. It looks really unneat, but it doesn't need to be neat, because the liner will come up to here anyway on the inside. That's why I've left a really thick amount of glass. A lot of people just leave a little amount, but I've used a real thick amount in there because that'll give me a real big area. Probably be able to get 3 full solid beads all the way down this window onto the liner to give me a really good seal. So as you can see, I've got a bit of gap here. That will just be filled up with the MS290 just to seal it all flush. And yeah, so really happy. It's in there, it's looking really good. Sorry about the state of the spirit level, but I don't know if it's going to focus on that. That's pretty level. That's as good as I'm going to do with the help from my dad. I couldn't have done this without him. It made life a lot easier having the two of us here to do it. So yeah, next time we talk will be once I have the insulation here. So we'll go through all the insulation, putting that on there. I'll then be putting on the returns. I have the liner returns to attach to these still, the 3 inlets. So we'll be installing the liner, sealing that to the skimmer, sealing that to the bottom drain, and sealing it to the inlets, and then it will be a case of the video after that. Hopefully we'll be giving it the big fill. So yep, I'll talk to you in a little while once we've got the liner. Alright, so it's been a few weeks since we got the window in, and I've now just got all the insulation in and the underlay ready to install the liner. So I'll just show you what I've been up to, because it's been a few weeks now. So if I spin you around now, you can see the pond is completely insulated, and I've used 25mm extra firm. It's the same as Kingspan. As you can see, there's a sheet of Kingspan in the corner because I was 1 sheet short, but the extra firm worked out a lot cheaper buying it online and getting it delivered than like B&Q and Wix and all that for Kingspan. So it's basically the same stuff. That's 25mm all the way round, and then the floor is covered with a sheet of tarpaulin and then some proper underlay for pond liners. So before I laid that down, with it being quite a sandy bottom, I sieved the whole floor by hand with just a little hand sieve to take out all the stones to make sure there was no stones there, get it nice and level. It took absolutely ages, several days, and then had to do it again when I put the insulation in around the edge. But now I know there's no big lumpy stones at the bottom underneath the liner, so that's peace of mind for the future. Even though it was knackering to do it by hand. But yeah, so all the insulation's in. I've aluminium taped up the joins as well, and with having a rebate on the window so it sits in with the blocks, it means I've had to cut in the edges of the window so that the liner can just ride up there and there's no like 25mm steps. So if I spin you around, you can see on the window there I've got a angle all the way around that just to ease the liner in, so there's no sharp angles, and the same around the skimmer, which is a bit messier, but hopefully it should do the job. So now I'm going to get the liner out and just get it in and block it in. Probably not going to have time to glue up all the drains, but I want to get it in so if it chucks it down or anything, this underlay and all that is protected. The weather looks okay, but it's been a bit hit and miss with showers, so just going to move that in now, and we'll see how it fits, because I've got a box welded liner from Kirky's Koi. Paul there, he sorted me out, really good to deal with, came pretty quickly as well, so thanks to them, hopefully it's the right size and I've measured it right and it's been made right. So I'm going to get that in there now, and then I'll talk to you in a bit once we've got the liner in. Alright, so the liner's in position. It was massively heavy to do on your own, so I'd recommend getting someone else to give you a hand if needs be, but I think I got the measurements pretty much right, seeing as it was a bit of eyeing it up. It wasn't completely square, so I think it's going to be good. There's no massive creases or anything, so I'll just spin you around and show you it. Nothing's glued in position, it's literally just sat in there at the moment, so I'll just spin you around and show you. There we go. You can see the fact it's got no water in and hasn't pulled tight yet. I think that's pretty good job. Pretty impressed with that myself. The corners aren't too bad, there's no massive creases. That's the worst corner, but I should be able to pull that a lot tighter once we've got some water in there. So yeah, so for a liner job, not fiberglass, I'm really happy with that. So hopefully it feels really good quality, really thick. It's 1 mil butyl, box welded liner, as I say, got from Kirky's Koi. So yeah, it looks pretty spot on. The corners at the top are a bit tight, but that's the least place I need to worry about, because the water's not going to be up there anyway, so it's got the least water pressure on those corners. I can always, worst case scenario, if they are a bit tight, right on the little lip on the corners. I don't know if I can just show you one as an idea. So I don't know if you can see, there's like where the join is here, right on the very top corner, on the patch. They're just a little tight. Whether that's the height measurement I've got right, or whether I'll be able to sort that out once I get some water in there and start pulling it tight. If not, I could always just put a little split on there and seal it up with a patch kit or something like that, because there's never going to be any water on there other than rain or fish splashing, so that's no big issue. So the next job will be putting in the box, putting in the windows, so sealing them all up. Gonna cut them out, MS290 or whatever it's called. Ideal seal the window and the bottom drain. Probably starting with the bottom drain. I think that's how I'm going to be proceeding. I've been following a few videos, CWD Windows. They've got quite a good YouTube channel. It shows how they install them when they install box welded liners with windows that they make. So yeah, check them out, and I'll come back to you as I'm doing the bottom drain. I'll try and film myself doing it and give you a bit of an insight on how it's done. Alright, so hopefully you can see this is about as good as I can get film wise. I'm just going to leave the camera running as I do it and just try and talk you through it a bit, but I've never done this before, so I'm learning it new with you. So I've made sure the liner's tight in all the corners and should be sat where I want it, hopefully. There's plenty of slack from the top as well, so we're where we want it. I just had that brick there just to hold it in the centre while I found the middle. So I've got a screwdriver just set on the lowest settings, because you don't want to hammer these screws in too tight. We've got the screws, we've got the case for the bottom drain, we've got the knife, we've got a set of scissors to trim up if we need it, and then we've got the sealant, which is the MS290 Ideal Seal, and then we've just got a cloth just to clean things up. So the only way really, I think, is to just go for it. I've seen a few videos on it. It's the scariest part, because I've now got to cut into this expensive liner that we've brought, but we found the middle, so we're just going to have to go for it, I'm afraid. So make sure you definitely got it in the right space, and then we'll go for it. So I'm just going to put a slot straight through the middle to start with. We're not going to go too clean, because I'm going to tidy it up afterwards. I want to make sure we've got some overlap to start with. So cut that out nice and rough. Don't worry about being too neat to start with, because we'll tidy it up at the end. Already cut my finger, which is good. Nice bit of blood on the inside of the liner. This pond has definitely been blood, sweat and tears, that's for sure. So there's that. So try and stop the blood. A bit of tissue. So I'm just going to clear up the inside of this. It's just got some sand on it. I've already cut the underlay before I put it on. It might just need a little trim up, as it might have moved a little bit. There's a bit of sand inside, but nothing too much. So I'll just trim the liner back a bit and a bit more. Probably be easier with scissors. Now we've got it open. Alright, so I just stopped the video there while I neatened up the underlay a little bit. You didn't want to watch all that messing around. So we've got the hole cut now. I've got the sealant, and as you might be able to see, I've cut a really big hole on the end, pretty much as wide as the nozzle will go, so I can get a really big bead of the sealant all the way away underneath the liner and onto the bottom drain itself. So we're going to go for it, put a big old seal around there, and then just push it down. You don't want to like squish it down completely flat. You want a nice little bead in there all the way around, but we'll go for it and then I'll try and show you as we go. So it's a bit awkward to do as you're trying to hold the liner up at the same time, but don't be stingy, give it a real big bead. There's no point skimping now on sealant, because if it leaks you're going to have to drain the pond and go all again. I'll just stop it there for a second while I spin the nozzle round to get a better angle. Carry on, join it back up with where you just stopped. We're nearly all the way around now. Just make sure you've got enough everywhere. Give it a second line if you need to. Any patches that look a little thin, just give it a little extra. Right, we'll knock that off, and then we'll just make sure the line is in position, and then just slowly push it down all the way around, and you'll feel it start to squidge out in a nice even bead all the way around. And then just you'll feel it. You can feel it with your fingers. It's quite hard to explain, but you can feel if it's sat down on it or not. As I say, you don't need to crush it right down. Just make sure it's squished down all the way. You can see it pushing out. And then afterwards we can always go around on the inside just to seal it back up again. It's going to go over on your hands, this stuff is sticky. So now what we'll do is we'll take the top, and we're going to want to put a big bead on the bottom side of this, the top casing, and then when you line it up you want to make sure that none of the screw holes are in line with your bottom drain pipe, because the screw shouldn't be long enough to go through, but there's no point risking it. You want to make sure your screw holes in the top are either side of your bottom drain pipe work, so you don't have any accidents. So I'm going to flip this over because it is slightly angled, and we're going to put a big old bead all the way along this. Hopefully there's enough in this one, if not I'll have to pop out and get another one from up the top. As you can see, we've got a big old bead. Alright, so it looks like my camera cut out halfway through doing the bottom drain the other day, but that's all done now. Sorry about that. I can't really stop once I start cutting into stuff to play around with the camera. So I think my memory card ran out of storage, but today we're going to have a crack at the window behind me. You can't see it's there because it's covered with the liner, but I've just spent some time making sure that the corners are all tucked in nicely into the pond, and so in a minute we're going to have a little cut. We're going to just put a slot down the middle, and then we're going to slowly work our way around the edge of the window, leaving quite a big lip to start with, just so I've got some room to play around with. And then we're going to use the MS290 once again to do a big old bead of sealant, probably 2 big beads of sealant all the way down around the window, and then we're going to push the same as the bottom drain, the liner up tight against it to seal it in there, and then wait for it to go off. The water in the bottom is starting to fill up because we had a lot of rain the last couple of days, and so it's not the nicest in here at the moment. So I'm going to crack on. I'm going to try and leave the camera running and film as much as I can, and probably talk over the top of it once I'm done, and hopefully it all goes to plan and we get a nice big bead of sealant all the way around the edge. So fingers crossed that all comes together nicely. So I'm going to get the knife out, I'm going to cut into the liner, and fingers crossed it all goes to plan. Alright, so as you can see behind me, the window's now cut out. It fits up nice and tight once I take the creases out, so that was probably one of the scarier bits of the pond, doing that, cutting through the liner. I just slowly done it. I didn't try and do it all in one hit. I just cut out a small section from the middle to start with, and then just worked to each edge to make sure I got it nice and tight so you can't see it from the other side, hopefully. Even though if it's a little bit overlapping, you won't see that once I get the cladding on the outside as well. That'll cover up as well. So yeah, pretty happy with how that's gone so far. The other little tip that I found that I used, I just got a spirit level, I held it up along the edge with the liner trapped underneath it, and then I could score the liner just in line with the bricks, just once I got, so I could get a nice straight line. So as you can see on both sides, we've got a pretty straight cut now by doing it that way, and then I just pulled it away from the glass and just trimmed along where I'd scored it. So that worked out quite well. I don't know if that's the best practice way of doing it, but it worked for me so far. So yeah, now I'm going to get the glue, the MS290, and I'm going to put a massive bead of sealant first along where the insulation sits, because we've got a little lip there, so I'm going to fill that lip with the sealant all the way along and up, and then I'm going to put a massive bead of sealant, maybe 2 strips, all the way up the glass, all the way along the front and all the way up the sides, and then just slowly press the liner up against it, nice and tight, and fingers crossed that's going to seal up a treat. So yeah, going to clean the glass up first. Got some cloths, get it nice and dry, even though this stuff does seal underwater supposedly, so a little bit of damp dew on the glass isn't going to make too much difference, I wouldn't have thought, but I'm going to dry it up as best we can, make sure the line is clean, and we're going to crack on. So I'm going to put the camera back up there, and I'm going to film it as I go, so hopefully I'll have some clips of it doing it. So yeah, fingers crossed it goes to plan. Right, so there we go, we're all sealed up. That's gone pretty well. I've got a little bit of spillover on the window, which I'm just going to try and clear up in a little while, but it's not too bad. I don't think you're going to really see it once the water's in and once the cladding's on around the outside and then the slate along the bottom. So yeah, pretty happy with that. It looks like it's gone down really nicely. Got a good 3 solid beads, really, including the one around the insulation edge there, attached to the liner. So fingers crossed we shouldn't have any leaks with that. So yep, really happy with that. Going to let that start to kick off. I'm going to clean myself up, and then we're going to tackle the skimmer and the outlets for the water returns. So yeah, it's going well so far. Fingers crossed it carries on going as well. Alright, so I forgot to get the camera out when I started doing the skimmer. I kind of started cutting in and got the glue out, and by then I realised I forgot to turn the camera on, so I'll just show you that now. That's all cut in and glued up. So if I spin the camera around, you can see now we've got the skimmer. Sorry about the the light. I'll try and block that out a bit. So it's done the same as the window, so there is a layer of the glue against the skimmer wall, then you have the liner, and then you have another layer of glue, and then the plate, and that is screwed on the same as what we're doing for the outlets, which I'm going to show you now. So I've done a couple of them already. I've done the one over on that side, you can probably just about make that out, and then I've just finished this one. So I need to cut out the inside. It doesn't look the neatest, but it's going to be underwater, you're not really going to see it, especially once it gets all the biological film over the walls anyway, it's going to blend in. I've just really sealed it up. So this is the same, you cut the hole in, then you add a layer of the glue, then you add the liner, and then another layer of glue, and then screw in the plates. So pretty similar to the bottom drain that you've already seen. So yeah, we've now cut the hole into the third and final one. Just made sure all the liner is tight into the corner. There's a few ripples around, but I think it's probably going to turn out okay once the water's in here and I pull it tight as the water's going in. I think it should come out quite nicely. So I'm going to leave the camera running in a second and put in some shots of me just gluing up this third and final return, and then I'll talk to you in the end. But we're nearly getting there now. It's really coming on. I'm really made up with how it's turned out. It's been a long, hard road to get this far. So yeah, I'm going to carry on with this, and I'll talk to you in a little while. Alright, so I'll just give you a final tour after finishing up those returns. Things have gone really well today. Pretty much there now for where I'm at the stage for the water to start going in. I'm a bit messy, covered in glue, but it's been worth it. So I'll just show you where we're up to, what we've been doing, because some of the bits of footage might not have come out. I might have missed bits and pieces with the camera cutting out here and there, so I'll just give you a recap and show you where we're at. So if I spin you round, you can see now the window is cut in, as long as you can see that in the light. I'm really happy with that. You can just about see the edging, maybe not with the light, but you've got to think I've got a good hand's width there of coping still to go on the top there, of slate coping when I've got it, and cladding on the sides, so you're not going to see that at all. So if I just show you the inside now, you can see we've got a good bead all the way around, nice flush finish all the way along the window and across. The bottom drain is in, that's not actually on the plinth, it's full of water at the moment, so I've just got to drain that out and put on the little upright and cut to the right size so the cover's on. We've then got the skimmer over this side, is now all cut in. That's the big skimmer from JBR Plastics. So that's got the face plate on there, just needs a little bit of neatening up and slotting in the guard and the casing. And then we've got a row of turn over in that corner. Ignore the pipe going in the top at the moment, that's just from the skimmer line just messing about with something. Then we've got another return over in this corner. These are the pressure fit returns. They come up really nicely. They look a little messy with the glue on them, but that's just to make sure they're nicely sealed all the screws in, but you won't see them once the water's in there and the algae, and not the algae, the biofilm's taken over really. So, and then we've got the third return just down here as well. So yeah, it's starting to look like a proper pond finally. It's looking really nice behind me, I think, now in the corner. Once we've got that all cladded up, with a nice slate style cladding. Still undecided on the colour, whether to do the multicoloured style stone or actual grey slate. I think the multicoloured might look better with the red brick of the house and the conservatory. It might blend in a little bit than the stark contrast of the dark black slate, so we'll have to see which one we go for in the end. But yeah, really happy with how it's coming on. So if I just show you, as I can't remember if I showed you in the last one, how we've got things installed in the filter house now. As you can see, we've got a Evo 55 over the back there. That is one of the older models. I got that second hand for a really good price. The same with the Nexus 300 that you saw me get earlier on in the year. So most of the filtration setup is second hand, but it's as good as new. The Evo's got a new bulb in there. It's basically in perfect condition because it was inside an actual shop on one of their tanks, so it's been covered over and run by a proper koi shop, so it's in really good condition. We've got the first return coming in here from the Nexus, which goes into this pump in the corner, comes up into an angle. We've got a rubber boot into the 55, into another rubber boot dropping down into a T, which can send it to this first return or all the way down the back to those other two returns. Ignore the yellow pipe there, that's just for running the hose over for the dechlorinator into top-ups before long, but we haven't got that set up yet. And then we've got the skimmer coming into a 2-inch ball valve into a 22,000 pump, and as you can see there, it's just a bit of flexi pipe which doesn't really blend in with the rest of the grey pressure pipe 2-inch, but all along the plan is to have that skimmer running round the back to a big 3-tier stainless steel backy shower, but I haven't got it yet. I've got to save up a little more because they're not the cheapest items in the world, and with it going into winter, not going to need the bacteria from that too much over the winter. They're not going to get fed a lot, just to get this system established first, and then we're going to get the backy shower over there into the spring, pressure pipe all the way through to it, and smash this 22,000 litre pump over it at full chat. So the reason why I've just got the flexi pipe on there is just so the skimmer works over the winter. It's literally just drawing some water for it. It's a variable pump, so I'll have it set on its lowest setting, which is only about 6,000 litres an hour, something like that. So it'll just be drawing the leaves off the top and just straight back in, so through the guard inside the skimmer. So yeah, that's it for now. I think things are looking good, as I said. Really happy with how it's turned out. Really impressed with myself, if I'm honest, with the fact that I managed to do it pretty much all myself, with some help from my dad with the heavy lifting of the glass and a little bit of concrete mixing, but other than that I've done it all myself. So if I can do it, anyone can do it, that's for sure. And yeah, hopefully the big fill will be Friday. It's Monday today, so I'll give it a good few days for the glues to go off fully, and then we'll start getting the water in there and start checking for leaks, and hopefully get the whole system running for 24 hours. And then if everything looks all good, everything's solid, no water levels dropping, we can move the fish over, and then it'll be just starting to make things look a little bit nicer after that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Sorry it's been so long for an update, but I wanted to have as one big video of all the install of the liner and all the stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching. Click like and subscribe, and keep an eye out for the big fill in the next week.